Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Welcome to this episode number 22 of The Gavel, podcast focused and directed at bringing you the latest news relevant to government weaponization and the fight to end it. As you know, a gavel is an instrument traditionally used to call the attention of the people, to catch your attention into something important that is going to happen. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do here. But before I start our program for today, I wanted to, as I usually do, bring God's covering over this little place here. I want to invoke the Lord's presence in this space in order to protect it from the enemies that we know are lurking everywhere all the time. So I picked from 2 places today, from Isaiah and a Psalm, and I'm just going to read to you. Trust in the Lord forever, for in God the Lord we have an everlasting rock. And then Psalms 121, I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will never slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. As I read that, comes to my mind some image I have had for a long time, which is that sometimes we feel we are in the edge of a precipice with so much pressure, with so many terrible things happening all at once, because that's the specialty of the criminals. And then I feel this invisible hand grabbing me by the back of my shirt, preventing me from falling into that precipice. And it's all, in figurative thinking about it. And I can hear the voice of God telling me, I have only allowed you to come this far to let you know that I will never, ever leave you alone, let you fall, or leave your side. And that image, in fact, I've tried to create that image with Grok and all the AI, and the criminals always interfere. If you can come up with an image like that to write about that, I would very much welcome it. So please, let's help me fight the censorship. Repost this podcast and subscribe and like, because that is the one way we can defeat the atrocious censorship that we face every day. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Ana Toledo. I am an attorney that is committed to exposing and shutting down the government weaponization and its nefarious impact on average Americans that didn't ask to form part of it. So thank you all for your blessings. Hola todos. Today marks the 15th day of the government shutdown. It doesn't seem that there's a possibility that things are going to change very soon. There is in Washington, I don't think that there is an environment ready for the opening of the government again. And in this context, I want to ask you that if your gang stalking has gone down, well, let me know in the comments, because I did know we're not going to tolerate here We know we have done we're not going to tolerate any perpish conduct here. We know it's the government because nobody else has the billions of dollars to run this. So if you are a government perp, well, you're blocked. There we go. Okay. Now, so the government is paying the soldiers with some money that they found somewhere, but it seems that, bless you, Justo. It seems that it seems that the government is going to continue to be shut down. Okay, this Holly Griffith I'm trying to block, but of course the criminals are not letting me block because that is a total and absolute lie. And I was anticipating this attack today, and I'll tell you why. Because the criminals are very, very upset at the fact that we are making progress and that I am going to Washington, D.C. So bear with me. Yeah, there is no much hope that there is going to be an opening of the government again. But again, I think it's good, at least because the gang stalkers don't get paid. I am going to dedicate this episode to the concept of connecting the dots. And the reason why I want to do that is because when you observe from you do a step back and you observe the different things going on in different places, and you think they're not connected, but they totally are. And now it's coming to the light, this dot connecting thing. Okay, so one of the things that when January 6th happened, we didn't know that it was a psyop, right? We didn't, at that time, we didn't know what was coming. One of the things that happened on January 6th was the following, that John Liu, who was a senator from New York State, wrote this in Twitter. Seeing the Twin Towers crumble is no longer the most frightening moment of his life. Well, what happens is that this was the beginning of the mass entrapment carried out by the FBI and the weaponized government. This man, he being a Democrat and from New York, he was probably apprised of what was coming on to these people. So he got horrendous comments because, as we know now, many of these people were even invited to come in. It was peaceful. They're coming into the Capitol. But this is important because this happened in January 6, 2021. And from there, the whole weaponization of government was unleashed against the J6ers. And whether you agree with them or not in terms of your political position, I can tell you the following. The J6ers are all targeted individuals. The J6ers have the attention not only of President Trump, but of a lot of people in Congress and the Senate. So I think that their plight can open the doors for the rest of victims of government weaponization, such as the parents that protested at school boards, such as the people that oppose the COVID mandates. So for this reason, we should stand in solidarity, because I am absolutely certain that not only they are victims of government weaponization, but also their families. Please remember how a little baby, he wasn't even a toddler, it was a baby, was put on the quiet skies because his father was a J6er. So let's continue. I'm going to continue in this theme of connecting the dots, because this week a lot of things have happened that seem to be separate events, but they're not. They're all related to the same government weaponization. And most importantly, and for those of you that have been entrapped by these criminals, you know what it is. God knows they tried to entrap me on many occasions, but they couldn't do it. But I know that many TIs have been entrapped into unfortunate events that and it's all part of the defamation of character, the destruction of character campaign. So I want you to be very vigilant watching the news. and connecting the dots on everything that is happening. So this John Liu compared, as I said, compared January 6th to 9/11, and everybody just, totally trashed him. And then everybody trashed him so much that he went back and said, "Oh, well, no, I didn't really mean that." But that he was announcing part of the psyop that would be unleashed against these people. Then Christopher Wray was at some point was confronted by Representative Clay Higgins. Get a load of this.
It's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman.
These two buses are painted completely white.
Point of order.
Point of order. Sure.
Just run over the time.
Okay, this was when Christopher Wray was still the FBI director. And so we have the evidence that there were people, actors, street theater, that were pretending to be J6ers. Then we have from last week's revelation, I showed you the clip of Christopher Wray saying, no, we didn't have confidential human sources. Why? Because Kash Patel admitted that there were 275 plainclothes FBI's in the they weren't confidential human sources. They were FBI employees trying to entrap people, and in fact they were rejoicing when the people started entering the Capitol, and one was caught on camera saying, "Oh, we don't have to go for the pipe bomb." So now that Mr. Patel has opened the door of the restricted and prohibited access files, he has opened it for everybody. He cannot say he opened them only for these investigations of Congress and not for the rest of the average Americans. And that's why, it is so crucial and important that it's at this time you send your Privacy Act request. Okay, I have to check on the airplanes because they're already active. Yeah, active to try to, this one is always N5LS, always comes in to interrupt my broadcast. So if it does, please let me know. Okay, so then after Kash Patel, we have a really great clip that I found from Mr. Bongino that more than a year ago, he already knew that there was this entrapment. This thread that I'm going through is the entrapment that is being exposed now. But this was exposed last year by Mr. Bongino, who now is the sub-director of the FBI.
This whistleblower believes very strongly, emphasis his, that the pipe bomber may be a government contractor. What?
Okay, so now we know he is that is a whistleblower that Bongino had while he was in working in his show in Rumble. So he's probably looking into all of this evidence. Remember, we're talking about entrapment, about the psyop of these people are terrorists. Let's put them on a list. They were already, I think most of them were already on the list when they went to January 6th, and the entrapment into the crimes. And that takes us to what John Solomon has been reporting, which is the 30 million records of phone calls of senators and White House with people around January 6th. They say that they didn't listen in, but I don't believe that. But there's 30 million lines of phone data mapping contacts between conservatives and the Trump White House and the senators in the name of investigating the January 6th Capitol breach. a massive dragnet that raises civil liberty concerns about the lack of limits on the ability of lawmakers to snoop on the Americans' private calls. This, we know, was done by the FBI at the behest of the committee. The mountainous connection of phone records was revealed to the FBI, led by Chris Wray, in late 2023 by former Representative Adam Kinzinger, a GOP member on the Democrat-run House January 6 Select Committee, the same one that was completely pardoned. Here we go again, connecting dots. If you didn't do anything wrong, why were they all pardoned by former President Biden? So, in the memo, Kinzinger told the FBI that the phone data had been collected by then former Representative Denver Riggleman, an ex-Republican who was a staffer on the Capitol Riot Committee, and who later helped Hunter Biden's legal team in its efforts to cast doubt on the laptop belonging to Joe Biden's son. So this is another dot to connect that this will continue to bring more information, because we know that it wasn't just it wasn't just data lines. I am absolutely certain that the FBI criminals were listening in. And so Just the News is publishing this, which is where John Solomon works, and I really urge you to follow them, because this is what's going to open Pandora's box for us. For the illegal surveillance, we're going to be focusing now on Fourth Amendment. Illegal surveillance, listening into your phone calls, getting into your emails. All of this is going to be this. They are starting with the phone calls, but you wait and see how it's going to come in. The emails intercepted and the social media accounts intercepted, because remember, the Twitter files were nothing but part of government weaponization. And that is what I want to go to do in DC. Connect all these dots for the people that haven't connected them yet. So Grassley's office said on Tuesday that he had sent letters to Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Lumen requesting to provide Congress all the records that were handed over to former special prosecutor Jack Smith as part of his electoral case against President Trump. So more will be revealed regarding this. As we know, the Senate chairman's office revealed that these FBI documents have been obtained because they were found in the prohibited access files in response to Grassley's requests. As you all know, prohibited access files is where we are certain that they have all the illegality, all the nomination forms regarding you, and all the illegality regarding this program. Only people with a very high security clearance had access to that, which was the FBI director and a few others. So at the outrage that everybody has been, all these senators have been saying that they're so outraged because of the spying on them, right? Which is something that for us is like, we assume, it's not that we accept it, it's like we assume it happens. You know, we assume when you go into your car, and if you don't assume it, you should assume there's a microphone in your AC vent. And you should assume that in your house there are microphones, because even though they don't need, you know, the criminals over there at Trevor and CIA don't need a microphone to hear and see what you say or do, the local ones do. So Thomas Massie, responding to all the senators that are all, particularly Marsha Blackburn, she asked why did AT&T and Verizon did not challenge the subpoenas on their phone records. He said it plainly. It's called the Patriot Act, FISA, and CISA. That is what has eroded the Fourth Amendment and privacy rights of all Americans, and they voted for it. So now this thing about, which they did it with the latest FISA approval, they excluded themselves from being subject to FISA. Let the rest of the humans, of the average Americans, be subjected to it, but not us. So this is touching them very close, because he's, you cannot, rules for thee and not for me. No, you cannot have that. because this is exactly what happens. So now let's continue connecting dots. And now I'm going to show you something that came out today, which was, it just speaks for itself. And it's like some people are just getting, well, just watch it here. Just watch it.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions.
I'm gonna please allow me to play it because she just looks like really triggered.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions.
So what matters here, again, whether or not you're Republican or agree or not agree, we can agree on various things, and it's the following. Even though I have been on this since 1999, okay. So it's not, and I was placed on the list for my environmental activism work. But it is true, and it is good for us that a lot of people were placed on the list for expressing, their political opposition to the people that were in power between 2021 and 2024. And the reason that is good for us is because those people, like the parents protesting at school boards, are opening doors for us in terms of the fight against government weaponization. So when you see this woman be so deranged, responding to a newspaper or journalist, she's from actually Lindell TV. Well, here's the thing. Why is she so triggered? That's what you need to wonder. That's where you need to connect the dots. Because, as you know, that the AutoPen pardons might be, are in the process of being challenged. Well, there's a lot of things that it's a snowball that it's happening. And the good thing is that it's all working towards the exposure and elimination, putting into place the necessary measures to eliminate government weaponization for everybody that has being a victim of this. So on another matter, talking about weaponization, there were really sad news today, and it is that the Supreme Court denied the petition for certiorari that Alex Jones had filed with his new evidence that the CIA had a substantial role in coaching and in the filing of a case against Alex Jones and in his total financial obliteration. So he talks about it, but what's curious is that he also takes a hit at Todd Blanche that he thinks is not working in the best interest of our weaponized community. Here it is.
And then the Justice Department gets the information, and Ed Martin.
Hold on, let me start it again. Hold on.
And Todd Blanche is protecting the FBI and DOJ under orders from Obama, then Biden, to get me off the air. And we have all the documents where they funded it illegally. We have all the proof. We sued them. We deposed them. I spent millions deposing them all, getting all their emails, top law firms. And then the Justice Department gets the information, and Ed Martin goes after him and says, preserve your records. I want to talk to you. And then Todd Blanche comes in and says, I'll fire you, Ed Martin. Shut this son of a bitch down right now. Ed Martin needs to be the Deputy Attorney General. And he didn't say that. I have other DOJ sources that tell me what goes on, but this is the reality.
And could they do that? I mean, because in the end, I don't think you should use government to make your friends rich or give them special favors. But if you can't deliver justice to people who are on your side, you're not doing it right. And that's really dispiriting and a little weird, to be honest.
Exactly. It's a little weird. It's a little weird that Todd Blanche, who is the second in command, because this is what he did. Those of you that watch me regularly must have seen that Ed Martin, who is in charge of the committee for the de-weaponization of the government, had sent a letter to the criminals involved in persecuting Alex Jones and demanded that they preserve the evidence. Well, Todd Blanche had him retract that letter. And that is one thing that we have to be looking to. Another thing that was very telling is that Todd Blanche was meeting with the CNN reporter, and that just doesn't look very kosher to me. It just doesn't, and then I have to say that he made the Puerto Rico United States Attorney's Office reduce to misdemeanor charges the indictment for felony charges against a former governor of Puerto Rico charged with corruption and bribery. And the United States prosecutors in Puerto Rico are really upset about that, because he basically, this was reported in Bloomberg, that the Justice Department leadership, Todd Blanche, ordered prosecutors right before the trial was to start to reach a more lenient deal with, I'm reading from Bloomberg, with the Puerto Rico former governor who had endorsed Donald Trump, and a billionaire represented by Trump's personal lawyer, said two people familiar with the matter. Why? Because one of the attorneys is Christopher Kais, who had represented Trump along Mr. Blanche in the case about the mishandling of classified documents. So because that guy is in the defense team, he went and talked to his friend Todd Blanche, and right before the trial was to begin, they forced the Puerto Rico prosecutors to reduce it to the indictment that had been for a felony, to reduce it to a misdemeanor. I don't think that's transparency, Mr. Blanche. And I'm sorry, that's my First Amendment right. I don't think that's a good look. Now the Puerto Rico prosecutors are really upset, and they are asking the judge to impose the maximum penalty of a year in jail. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about something that I found out. I knew that the FBI and DHS had these people that they private corporations. At the time I did the research, it was 600 corporations. Now they're up to 800 corporations. And this is dsac.gov. I already sent them my Privacy Act request. And of course, they're going to say, no, we're an intelligence agency. Well, not really, because they have not been authorized by Congress, and they're subject to FOIA. So this was created in 2005 as a public-private partnership offered by the Federal Bureau of Investigation Office of Private Sector and the Department of Homeland Security Office of Intelligence and Analysis. Get this name. Department of Homeland Security Office of Intelligence and Analysis is that the director of that office has the highest security clearance, even higher than the president. And they are the ones that are handling the fusion centers and this program at the DHS level. I don't doubt that the person that directs this office has a higher security clearance than Kristi Noem. So basically, they set up this group, Domestic Security Alliance Council. It was originally under Director Robert Mueller, that he alleges now that, how convenient that he alleges that he has dementia, that he was under George Bush Jr. in December of 2005. Right now, it consists of over 800 of the country's largest corporations that comprise a domestic security organization modeled after the State Department Overseas Security Advisory Council. What I had read in the preparation of Targeted Justice v. Garland is that these corporations, since they get the TSDB through the NCIC, and they have an interaction with you, they have to report. They have a portal, which I'm going to show you the picture of it. They have a portal that they have to report to. And let's see if I have it here. And they basically report to, here it is. This is the portal. And they basically upload, yeah, she did this or that, and I had the conversation with her. And we're talking here, Walgreens, TransUnion, all these huge corporations and organizations that are part of this organization, and it's all under the guise of security, homeland security. So what is really scary to me right now is that it seems that the current administration has not realized yet that the people in charge of this nefarious and, in my opinion, unconstitutional spying outfit of the government was the one here on top, the director. She was named in 2023 by Biden, and the one on the bottom in 2013 by Obama. So this is completely controlled by the same people that entrapped and went after the COVID opposers, the parents protesting school board meetings, the J6ers, and anybody that against whom the government in the last 4 years was weaponized. But that includes us, those of us that were placed on this nefarious list prior to. So this is yet another thing that I want to go and create awareness. Why are these two ladies haven't been fired? In fact, why is this office still existing? Because it is the Stasi weaponization of our government. Having, like in German times, having private citizens spying on you without you even knowing it. Without probable cause. God, this is so unconstitutional. Without reasonable suspicion, just because your name has been illegally placed on that list. So with this is what I wanted to bring to you today. I don't want to exceed my time, but I want to, first of all, I want to thank all of you that have so enthusiastically supported my mission to go to DC. I want to be there by November the 1st. And you know what my mission is. My goal is nothing other but to expose the criminality, the illegal surveillance, the weaponization of government against average Americans that is not being talked about in these realms right now because they're too busy worried about their own violation of privacy. So that's number one. So please remember to send your Privacy Act request. Look into the Targeted Justice website, activism, how to fight back. There's a sample there. And as I have said, you can hire editor Jill Amack, Jill TJ at proton.me, and she can help you draft yours if you have questions. Now, again, I want to make it very clear that I'm going to DC and I'm not going to leave until we're free. That is my mission, and I'm going to work. The good thing is that, unlike any other just attorney that you can hire off the street, I am committed to being free too. So I am going to fight very hard for you, because I also want to be free. And that is, I think, the biggest guarantee I can give you. And so I need your continued support. I'm going to be doing, as I said, I'm going to be doing Zoom calls for those that are donors, official donors, and those that commit to supporting me. Just think of, okay, well, maybe I'll sacrifice one restaurant meal a day and support Ana to pay a rent to live there, because as you know, this is one very expensive city to live in. So even though, like, I am so happy that I got in excess of what my monthly budget was, because as you know, the moment I get there, if I rent a place, I'm going to have to pay not just 1 month's rent, but also the deposit. So, I am just very, very grateful. And most importantly, I'm honored in the trust that you have placed in me. And I can assure you I'm not going to let you down. I have already started with Dr. Lambert on the strategy that we're going to take, because as you have to understand, the moment is now. The moment is Now that the senators have learned that their phones have been surveilled, the moment is now. Now that the Senate has opened an investigation until February in the quiet skies and illegal surveillance, the moment is now. Now that we have allies investigating government weaponization, such as Ed Martin, the moment is now. Now that the entrapment of J6ers is being exposed, fully exposed, the moment is now, because they are targeted individuals as well. Now that Havana syndrome is being talked about everywhere, the moment is now. So I am very happy to be working with Len in preparing the strategy and the materials to tackle these issues when I go there. I have been warned that criminals will try to harm me, but I am not afraid. As I told you, they have already done so much to me. Even now, as we speak, I've had the worst 3 days that I've had probably in the past 3 years. But God has never abandoned me, and I am absolutely certain He won't. So I am pushing right along this mission because it's going to pay off for everybody. God has brought me here, and it was not in vain. God put this mission in my heart, and it's not in vain. To all the TIs in the DC area, Maryland, Virginia, DC, please write to Tweet Justice 2. If you're interested, of course. And just in the subject line, DC TI in DC area, so that I can contact you. I am planning on having we're going to have bi-monthly meetings. Why? Because I want to count with your presence in some of these visits that I'm going to be making to congressmen, women, or senators, or officials in different government agencies. So if you're interested in that, well, please come to the meetings. I have for the first meeting would be November 8th. And for those of you over there, please help me find a coffee shop where there's parking, where we can come and meet and live stream from there for the rest of our community that cannot be there. Because I want them to be fully apprised of what, obviously we're not going to completely disclose what we're going to do, but to be giving updates about what is going on. Okay. And I'm going to see if I look at some of your comments. I don't know if there is anything that I should reply to. Yeah, the woman, that woman. Thank you. The ghost the ghost gets the glory. Absolutely, Jack. Because today I learned something so beautiful, and it is when you say the glory goes to God is when the manifestation of God happens. And to those of you that have the habit of using a lot your phone, I know I've said this before, but there is nothing better than one of these little battery radios that do not emit EMFs to your implants, because most of us, as you know, are implanted. And this is one of the ways. I have it in 105.7, that is the Houston Christian station. And I have learned so much, particularly in the mornings when I'm waking up, I'm just listening to the sermons, and I learn so much, and I just start my day, in such a good mood. And I urge you to do the same wherever it is that you live. There must be a Christian station that you can listen to it without harming yourself, because what we have to try to do is not facilitate the attacks by the criminals on our temples that they have taken over, many of them thinking it belongs to them. Well, no, it's time to reclaim them and to not facilitate their attacks on us. Okay, let me just check here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your wonderful support. Question: cult involvement within gang stalking. Look, I want you to understand that we are going to tackle this issue based on what's happening in Congress right now. We are going to go for the Fourth Amendment, because that is where what it all boils down to. That people are supposed to be safe in their persons and in their property, and that is exactly what has been obliterated. The illegal surveillance, the illegal hacking, all of that needs to stop. If we stop it, we stop the rest. So I am counting on this amazing community to continue supporting me so that I can speak for you, so that I can fight for you. Thank you, everybody. And I wait for you next week. I hope we have a lot of good news. I know they're happening. I know it's going to happen. So please stay tuned for next week, and I will keep you updated. Have a good night.